The galaxy was not a safe place. It never had been. But in recent years, it had become something worse. It had become quiet. Not peaceful quiet. A dangerous quiet. A quiet where even powerful empires stop expanding. A quiet where war fleets return without pride. A quiet where commanders stop speaking too loudly in council halls. Because something was moving between the stars. Something unknown. Something that did not follow rules. On the edge of the Corin sector, a small alien outpost floated near a dead moon. It was not important. It was not rich. It was not even strong enough to defend itself properly. Its only job was to watch the empty border of space and report anything unusual. The commander of this outpost was named Varric Sen. He was not young. He was not foolish. And he had survived long enough to know one thing. In space, silence is never empty. It is warning. The night, everything changed. It started like every other shift. Slow scanners. Low power readings. Empty space. Nothing unusual. The crew relaxed. Some even joked. One officer said, "Even ghosts would get bored in this sector." A few laughed, but Commander Varric did not laugh. He was watching the outer radar. There was something wrong. Not a signal. Not a ship, but a gap. A missing piece in the scan pattern. Like something was there, but refusing to be seen. He leaned forward. "Run full spectrum scan," he ordered quietly. The technician obeyed. Seconds passed. Then the screen flickered. A new reading appeared. Unknown signature. Small. Fast. Entering restricted space. First contact. The crew froze. The technician whispered, "So it's a ship." Varric did not speak at first. He studied the signal. It was strange. No known energy profile. No standard engine trail. Not even a proper identification code. Just a weak transmission signal repeating again and again. The message was decoded. It was simple. Too simple. "We are not here to invade. We are here to explore." Silence filled the control room. One officer laughed nervously. "That's it? That's their first contact message." Another said, "Maybe they're lost traders." But Varric did not feel calm. He felt something else. A cold pressure in his chest. Because he had seen lost traders before. Lost traders begged. Lost traders panicked. Lost traders explained themselves too much. This message did not beg. It did not fear. It simply stated, like it expected no argument, the decision from above. Varric opened a channel to the central command. After a short delay, the council responded. A voice came through, calm and dismissive. "A single unknown ship?" "Yes," Varric replied. "Low energy signature?" "Yes." "Non-hostile message?" "Yes." There was a pause. Then the council voice said, "Send a patrol. Intercept and escort out." Varric hesitated. That may not be wise. A second voice joined the channel. An admiral. Stronger tone. More pride. "We do not negotiate with unknown trespassers, Commander." They entered restricted space. "That is enough. Send the patrol." The channel closed. The patrol is sent. 3 warships left the outpost. They were not large, but they were advanced. They had never lost a battle in this sector. Their commander was confident. He sent a message to Varric before leaving. "Don't worry, Commander. We will scare them off quickly." Varric did not reply. He just watched the radar. The unknown ship was still moving forward, still repeating the same message. No change, no fear, no retreat. That was what disturbed him most. Anything that entered military space usually reacted, but this ship behaved like it belonged there. Contact with the patrol. Minutes passed. Then the first patrol ship made contact. A voice came through the channel. "Unknown vessel. This is Corin Patrol Fleet. You are in restricted space. Change course immediately." No response. Only silence. Then the second warning. "This is your final warning." Still nothing. The third message was harsher. "Identify yourself or we will fire." A pause. Then the unknown ship responded. Calm. Stable. Almost human-like. "We are not here to fight." The patrol commander laughed. "You are trespassing. That is enough reason." There was another pause. Then the unknown ship sent a final line. Then you already decided what we are. The disappearance. On Varric's screen, the patrol fleet entered engagement range. Weapon systems activated. Energy spikes appeared. And then, nothing. All 3 patrol ships stopped transmitting. No distress signal. No explosion signature. No debris. Just silence. Varric stood up slowly. Replay last 30 seconds. The technician did. The footage showed something strange. The patrol ships moved in. Then their systems flickered. Then every sensor went dark at the same moment, like someone had switched off reality. One officer whispered, "What happened?" No one answered, because no one knew. The second transmission. Then it came, from the unknown ship, a second message. This time, it was directed to the entire outpost network. Not just Varric, not just the patrol. Everyone. We did not want conflict. We were only passing through. You chose escalation. A pause. Then the final line. Do not send more ships. The message ended. Fear spreads. The outpost crew did not speak loudly anymore. Even breathing felt heavy. Varric looked at the empty radar. The patrol fleet was gone. No wreckage. No escape pods. Nothing. He finally said the words no one wanted to hear. This was not a fight. An officer asked quietly, "Then what was it?" Varric hesitated, then answered, "A warning." Far away in council space, reports began to arrive. One patrol missing. Then another message from border stations. Unknown ship still advancing, still repeating its simple statement. And now, no one felt it was simple anymore, because something was becoming clear. The humans, if they were human at all, were not trying to prove strength. They were simply moving through space. And anything that tried to stop them disappeared. The Galaxy Council had not felt fear in a long time. Fear was something they believed belonged to weaker civilizations. Fear was for young species. Fear was for the unprepared. But now, fear had returned. And it did not knock before entering. The emergency chamber. In the heart of the Central Council Station, alarms flashed red. Hundreds of alien leaders gathered in a wide circular hall. The chamber was built to handle wars, invasions, and extinction-level threats. But it had never been used like this. At the center stood a holographic display. It showed 3 things. The last known position of the patrol fleet, the unknown ship's path, and the empty silence where ships used to be. No debris. No escape signals. No distress calls. Just disappearance. One council member spoke first. "This must be an error in tracking systems." Another replied quickly. "We checked 3 networks. All show the same result." A heavy silence followed. Then Admiral Kess spoke. His voice was sharp. "How does a fleet vanish without a trace?" No one answered, because no one had seen this before. Commander Varric's report. A live transmission opened from the Corin outpost. Commander Varric appeared on screen. His face looked tired, not from lack of sleep, but from understanding something he did not want to understand. He spoke carefully. The patrol engaged the unknown vessel. The engagement lasted less than 1 minute, and then all contact was lost. A council scientist interrupted. "Lost? Explain." Varric paused, then said the words clearly. "I mean erased from all systems." The room reacted immediately. Voices rose. "That is impossible. No weapon can erase ships like that. This is sabotage or system failure." But Varric raised his hand. There was no explosion. No energy spike. No distortion field. Just silence. That last word made the chamber quiet again. Silence. It was becoming a pattern. The unknown ship. A strategist spoke next. "What do we know about the vessel itself?" Varric replied. "It is small. Non-military structure. No known design classification. And no reaction to warnings." An elder council member leaned forward. "So it ignores authority?" "Yes," Varric said, "or it does not recognize it." That sentence made several council members uncomfortable. One admiral laughed lightly. "Every species recognizes authority when faced with force." Varric answered without hesitation. This one did not react to force. That stopped the laughter. The second contact. Suddenly, Another alert appeared on the main screen. A new transmission had arrived. From the unknown ship, the council went silent again. The message was decoded instantly. It read, "We are still moving through the sector. We did not destroy your ships. We removed threats to our path." A council member stood up. "Removed? They are admitting it." Another shouted, "This is aggression." But the scientist studying the signal frowned. "No, this is not aggression language. It is explanation language." The admiral turned sharply. "Explain yourself." The scientist hesitated. Most aggressive species justify destruction. They use dominance language. This message does not justify. It describes actions like routine work. That made the hall uneasy, because routine work meant something worse. It meant it was normal. The debate begins. The council split quickly. One side demanded immediate retaliation. The other side demanded caution. Admiral Kess stood again. "We send a full war fleet. We locate this vessel and eliminate it. That is the only correct response." But another voice replied, "And if it is not alone?" Silence. A strategist added, "If a single ship can erase a patrol fleet, what happens when we send 10,000 ships?" No one answered that either. The first theory. The scientists gathered data quickly. They analyzed all known signals from the unknown ship. They found something strange. No weapon signature. No energy discharge. No detection of known technologies. One researcher finally spoke. "This is not a ship as we understand it." The council turned toward him. He continued slowly. "It does not behave like a military vessel. It behaves like a system. A controlled environment. Like it is part of something larger." Admiral Kess frowned. "Larger than what?" The scientist looked down. "Larger than fleets." That sentence made the room colder. A memory from the archives. An old historian stepped forward. He activated ancient records. Dusty data from forgotten eras. He spoke softly. "There are old myths in many species. About travelers. Not conquerors. Not invaders. But explorers." The council frowned. Myths were not taken seriously. But the historian continued. "They never expand through war. They simply move. And anything that blocks them is ignored or removed." A council member laughed nervously. "So you are saying this is a myth?" The historian looked at the screen showing empty space. "I am saying the myth is moving through our territory right now." The human signal. Then something unexpected happened. A new transmission arrived. But this one was different. It was not from the unknown ship. It came from deep space beyond it. A second source. Weak, unstable, but clearly artificial. The scientists rushed to decode it. At first, it was noise. Then patterns appeared. Then language. It was not fully translated, but parts became clear. Unknown vessel is Earth origin classified exploratory unit. The room froze. Earth origin. The word was unfamiliar. A junior officer asked, "What is Earth?" No one answered immediately, because no one had a record of it. Not in alliance databases. Not in trade logs. Not in war archives. Nothing. A forgotten sector. The historian suddenly spoke again. "Wait! There is one old record." He searched quickly. Ancient maps appeared. A small sector far outside known space. Uncharted. Unclaimed. Ignored for centuries. He pointed. This region was marked as silent origin zoned. Too far for trade. Too unstable for expansion. So it was left alone. The council studied it. And for the first time, they saw something disturbing. The unknown ship was coming from that direction. From a place no one had cared to explore. The realization. Admiral Kess spoke slowly. "So we are not dealing with an invader." The scientist finished his sentence. "We are dealing with something that was never meant to be found." Silence filled the chamber again. This silence was different. It was not confusion. It was realization. Because now the question had changed. It was no longer, "What is that ship?" It had become, "What else is out there?" The warning arrives. The unknown ship sent one final message before leaving the sector. It was short, Direct. No emotion. Do not follow us. That was all. But it was enough. Because now the council understood something deeply uncomfortable. This was not a negotiation. This was not a war. This was a path. And anything in the path was simply moved aside. The Galaxy Council had never felt this kind of silence before. It was not the silence of peace. It was a silence of uncertainty. Because now, they knew something was coming closer. Not a rumor, not a theory, but something real. Something moving through space like it owned the path in front of it. The decision nobody wanted to make. In the central council chamber, tension was growing. The unknown ship had sent its final warning. Do not follow us. But warnings were not something the council liked to accept. Admiral Kess stood in front of the hologram map. His eyes were sharp, but his voice was slower than before. We cannot allow an unknown force to move freely inside council space. A scientist replied immediately, and we cannot fight something we do not understand. A third voice interrupted. If we do nothing, it will keep moving deeper. The room became quiet again. Every option felt wrong, but doing nothing felt worse. Finally, the council made a decision. Not a war, not a retreat, something in between. A shadow observation fleet would follow from a distance. No weapons activation, no contact, just watching, recording, studying. That was the official order. But deep inside, everyone knew the truth. They were afraid to lose another fleet. The shadow fleet begins. 10 stealth ships were deployed. They were designed for invisibility. No energy signature. No communication trace. No known detection profile. Their mission was simple. Follow the unknown vessel. Do not engage. Do not be seen. The fleet commander was a quiet strategist named Captain Elven. She was chosen because she followed orders perfectly. But even she felt something was wrong. Before departure, she studied the last data logs. Every previous encounter ended the same way. No damage feels no battle signatures, just disappearance. She closed the file slowly and said quietly to herself, this is not tracking a ship. This is following something we are not meant to understand. Still, she gave the order. Begin shadow operation. And the fleet moved. Deep space, the unknown path. Far ahead, the unknown vessel continued its journey. It did not change speed. It did not change direction. It simply moved forward, like it already knew where everything was. Inside it, systems remained quiet. No alarms. No combat readiness. Just steady movement. Then something changed. A soft internal detection alert appeared. Not an attack warning. Not a threat detection. Just a message. External observation detected. A pause. Then another line appeared. Multiple sources. Low interference. The ship did not react with fear. It reacted with awareness. A calm signal was sent internally. Allow observation. Do not engage. And just like that, it continued moving. The shadow fleet's fear. Captain Lyra watched the unknown ship on her display. It was smaller than expected. No heavy armor. No visible weapons. No escort fleet. Just a single vessel. One officer spoke quietly. That's it. Another replied. That's what erased the patrol fleet. Lyra did not answer. She zoomed in. Something felt wrong. Because everything about the ship looked too simple. Too clean. Too quiet. As if it was not designed for war. But something else. Then one technician spoke. Captain, we are not being detected. Lyra turned sharply. What do you mean? No scan response. No counter detection. It's like, it knows we are here, but ignores us. That sentence made everyone uneasy. Because ignoring something in space was dangerous. Ignoring meant confidence. And confidence meant control. First anomaly. The Shadow Fleet continued following at long distance. Then suddenly, all 10 ships experienced a system fluctuation. Not damage. Not attack. Just a brief interruption. Screens flickered for less than 2 seconds. When they stabilized again, the unknown ship had changed position. Not moved. Changed. It was now closer. Much closer. One officer shouted. We didn't detect any movement. Lyra stared at the screen. How did it close distance without propulsion signature? Silence. Then the ship appeared again on a new vector. Still silent. Still calm. As if distance itself was not a limitation. That was when fear started spreading in the fleet. Not fear of destruction, but fear of rules not applying anymore. The message arrives. Suddenly, a direct transmission was received. All 10 shadow ships detected it at once. It was from the unknown vessel. Captain Lyra hesitated, then opened it. The message was short, very short. You are not hidden. A pause. Then another line. But you are safe. The bridge went silent. An officer whispered, "Safe." Another replied, "That sounds like a warning pretending to be kindness." Lyra leaned forward. She ordered, "Respond." The communication officer sent a reply, "Identify your intent." The response came quickly. "Exploration." That single word caused frustration in the bridge. An officer stood up. That's what the first message said too. They destroyed a patrol fleet and call it exploration? But Lyra raised her hand. "Wait." She looked carefully at the data, then said something slowly. "They are not lying." Silence. She continued. "They are describing their purpose, not their actions." The officer frowned. "Then what are their actions?" Lyra looked at the drifting image of the ship and answered quietly, "Moving forward." The impossible choice. The Shadow Fleet faced a decision. Report back, or continue observing. But something changed again. The unknown ship sent a final message, not to the fleet, but broadcast across all nearby systems. Every Shadow ship received it, even distant relay stations. It said, "We are not your enemy. We are not your target. We are not your story." A pause, then the final line. "Do not turn this into conflict." The message ended. Captain Lyra's realization. The bridge remained silent for a long time. Then Lyra spoke. "Pull all observational data." The technician obeyed. She studied everything again. Patterns, movement, behavior. No aggression patterns. No expansion signals. No territorial markings. Then she said softly, "They are not coming for us." The officer replied, "Then why are we afraid?" Lyra hesitated, then answered honestly, "Because everything we understand says we should be." That was the problem. The galaxy had rules, and this thing did not follow any of them. Far beyond the fleet, inside the unknown vessel, another internal message appeared. Observation fleet remained stable. Non-hostile behavior detected. A pause. Then, continue path. No celebration. No concern. Just continuation. Because for the ship's purpose, the Shadow Fleet was not important. It was not an obstacle. It was not even a delay. It was simply present, like dust in space. The breaking point. Captain Lyra made a final decision. Do not follow closer. Maintain distance. The fleet obeyed. But deep inside, every officer understood something changing. They were no longer hunters. They were no longer observers. They were something worse. They were irrelevant. They were wrong. Because what was coming next was not an attack, not a war, not even a warning. It was the truth. And truth is always more dangerous than weapons. The report that changed everything. The Shadow Fleet returned to Council space slowly. Not because they were damaged, but because they were unsure how to explain what they had seen. Captain Lyra Venn stood in the Central Council chamber. The same chamber that had once discussed wars and borders. Now it felt different. Smaller. Heavier. Every council member was watching her. Waiting. She began to report. The unknown vessel is not hostile. A council admiral interrupted immediately. It erased patrol fleets. It ignored warnings. It crossed restricted space. How is that not hostile? Lyra did not react to the anger. She continued calmly. There was no aggression detected. No targeting systems. No pursuit behavior. It did not hunt us. A scientist leaned forward. Then what did it do? Lyra paused, then answered. It moved forward. The room went silent again, because that answer made no sense in their logic. The impossible observation. Lyra opened her data files. The hologram showed the ship's path again. It was straight, clean, unchanging. She zoomed in on every recorded encounter. Every time a council fleet appeared, the unknown ship did not change behavior. It did not chase. It did not flee. It simply continued. One officer asked, "So why did our patrol disappear?" Lyra looked at him, and for the first time, her voice carried uncertainty. "Because they tried to stop something that does not stop." That sentence hung in the air, slowly sinking into every mind. The historian speaks again. The old council historian stepped forward. He looked at the data, then spoke quietly. "There is something you are all missing." All eyes turned to him. He continued, "Every record we have assumes one thing, that all intelligent life reacts to force." A council member replied, "That is true." The historian shook his head. "No, that is belief, not fact." He pointed to the data. "This vessel does not react to force. It does not react to threats. It does not even react to authority." He paused, then said something that made the chamber cold. "It behaves like it is above reaction." Silence followed. Heavy silence. Uncomfortable silence. The final decoded signal. Suddenly, the science division activated a hidden file. A fragment of the unknown vessel's earlier transmission had been reanalyzed. New patterns had been found. Deeper translation layers revealed something missed before. The message was not just words. It contained origin tags, coordinates, and classification markers. The system finally decoded one final line. Human exploratory vessel designation, Argus 7. The chamber froze. A junior officer whispered, "What is human?" No one answered immediately, because the council database returned nothing. Not a species entry. Not a language file. Not even a cultural record. Nothing. It was like the word itself was outside their history. The forgotten archive opens. The historian rushed to the oldest archives. These were records from before the council unified the galaxy, before modern expansion, before trade networks, before war standards. He accessed sealed data layers, ancient fragments, lost maps, broken transmissions. Then he found it. A small annotation buried deep in historical code. Sector H0, no confirmed civilization. Extreme isolation zone. Exploration restricted due to unknown origin signals. The council leaned closer. The historian continued reading. Early probes reported anomalous signals from this region, but all missions were discontinued. Reason: high unpredictability of response behavior. A council member asked, "What does that mean?" The historian looked up slowly. "It means we stopped going there. Because we did not understand what was there." The truth begins to form. Captain Lyra studied the name again. Argus 7. She asked softly, "Is that a warship?" The scientist replied immediately. "No energy signature suggests military classification." "Then what is it?" No one answered, until the historian said something unexpected. "It may not be a warship at all." The council turned toward him. He continued, "It may be an exploration." Then answered, "Authority." He paused, then said something that made the chamber cold. "It behaves like it is above reaction." Silence followed. Heavy silence. Uncomfortable silence. The final decoded signal. Suddenly, the science division activated a hidden file. A fragment of the unknown vessel's earlier transmission had been reanalyzed. New patterns had been found. Deeper translation layers revealed something missed before. The message was not just words. It contained origin tags, coordinates, and classification markers. The system finally decoded one final line. Human exploratory vessel designation, Argus 7. The chamber froze. A junior officer whispered, "What is human?" No one answered immediately, because the council database returned nothing. Not a species entry. Not a language file. Not even a cultural record. Nothing. It was like the word itself was outside their history. The forgotten archive opens. The historian rushed to the oldest archives. These were records from before the council unified the galaxy, before modern expansion, before trade networks, before war standards. He accessed sealed data layers, ancient fragments, lost maps, broken transmissions. Then he found it, a small annotation buried deep in historical code. Sector H0, no confirmed civilization, extreme isolation zone, exploration restricted due to unknown origin signals. The council leaned closer. The historian continued reading. Early probes reported anomalous signals from this region, but all missions were discontinued. Reason: high unpredictability of response behavior. A council member asked, "What does that mean?" The historian looked up slowly. "It means we stopped going there, because we did not understand what was there." The truth begins to form. Captain Lyra studied the name again. Argus 7. She asked softly, "Is that a warship?" The scientist replied immediately. "No energy signature suggests military classification." "Then what is it?" No one answered, until the historian said something unexpected. "It may not be a warship at all." The council turned toward him. He continued, "It may be an exploration vessel." A council admiral laughed bitterly. "A ship that erases fleets is an explorer?" The historian nodded slowly. "Yes, because not all exploration is peaceful." Silence fell again. Then he added, "But not all destruction is intentional." That sentence changed everything. The second human signal. Another transmission arrived. Stronger this time. Clearer. It was no longer fragmented. The unknown vessel was now close enough for full contact. The message appeared across all council systems. "We have detected repeated observation attempts. We are not a threat. We are mapping this region for future expansion routes." A pause. Then the final line. "Interference has been minimized." The council erupted immediately. "That confirms it. They are expanding. They are invading." But Captain Lyra raised her voice sharply. "Stop." The room went quiet. She pointed at the message. "They did not say they are invading. They said they are mapping." A scientist replied, "That is the same thing." Lyra shook her head. "No, it is not the same thing." And for the first time, she looked afraid. "Unless you believe everything you map belongs to you." The missing perspective. The historian spoke again. "There's another possibility." All eyes turned to him. He continued slowly. "We are judging them using our behavior. But what if they are not like us?" A council member asked, "Then what are they like?" The historian hesitated, then said, "Something that moves forward without permission." The chamber grew quiet, because that idea was worse than war. War had rules. War had logic. But movement without permission did not. The Shadow Fleet truth. Captain Lyra finally revealed the last part of her report. "We tracked their system signature. We tried to isolate origin frequency." A pause. Then, "We found something unexpected." The council leaned in. She continued, "The vessel is not alone." Gasps spread through the chamber. Lyra explained, "It is part of a larger network. Not a fleet. Not an empire. But coordinated exploration units." A scientist whispered, "So there are more of them?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, many more." Silence hit the room harder than any explosion, because now they understood. This was not a single unknown ship. This was not an accident. This was a pattern. The final realization. The historian closed his eyes, then spoke softly. "We made a mistake." The council listened. He continued, "We assumed silence meant emptiness. We assumed distance meant safety. We assumed unknown meant unimportant." He opened his eyes, but it meant none of those things. He pointed at the screen, showing the unknown ship. It meant we were simply not part of their attention. That sentence broke the final illusion, because being ignored by something powerful is worse than being attacked by it. The last message before contact ends. The unknown vessel sent one final transmission. Not aggressive, not emotional, just final. "We will continue our route. Do not interfere. This region will be documented." A pause. Then the last line. "Humanity does not recognize this council as a governing authority over exploration zones." The chamber froze. For the first time, a name was attached. Humanity, not myth, not unknown, a civilization, a real one, and they had just declared something even more terrifying. They did not accept permission.